What's up, college football fans and Mean Green fans? Sonoy Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. And tonight I'm joined by Miles. And before we get into all things Liberty UNC related, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football recruiting, G5 football, the transfer portal, any or all of the above, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because that is truly all that we talk about. Alrighty, Miles. Well, kind of good news, bad news. Bad news being that we are 1-5 coming off of a real gut wrenching loss to Marshall. Good news is that we are going to the AAC, presumably. So even in the deepest of valleys, there's some sunlight that peers through the clouds. But as far as this Liberty game goes, they're 22 points favorites on us, I believe. And yeah, I mean, I hate to be so doom and gloom, but yeah, I mean, let's say we win. I mean, then totally we could maybe get back on track. But I mean, that Marshall was kind of like that last one that I feel like we could have afforded, to not lose or however you want to phrase it. But yeah, just after that Marshall game, man, yeah, it's what I mean. Are we going to fight as hard as we can? Or are they going to fight as hard as they can to get to 4 wins? And even if that is the case, what is a 4-win season to what does that even mean? But yeah, man, what are your thoughts? And yeah, I just want to hear from you.
Uh, that was a bad game. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong, except for injuries, basically went wrong. I mean, I, we didn't talk about it last week because we didn't have a time to do it, and they play on that Friday night. But I was talking with Carter on the other podcast, and I was like, well, maybe if they get out of the gate fast, they actually do something on offense first. They do the opposite of that. They just nothing works. I just don't understand. There's no creativity, And when you get down in your 30, at the one point it was 35-0 until you scored. You just can't win from that, and I just don't understand what's the mindset going to this game? What's the game plan that they're having before these games? Because once you get in this 21+0 hole, you can't get out of that, and it's happened time after time. And it was just an awful game. I mean, discipline. They had 17 penalties for 100 and I think 70 yards. That almost broke an NCAA record yardage wise. I mean, it's just embarrassing, really. I mean, you're on, I guess, kind of national TV, CBS Sports, whatever, and there's nobody there, and you're just getting pounded by a team that, quite frankly, is just average. I mean, Marshall is not a top of tier Conference USA team this year. They're just not. They lost to East Carolina. They lost to App State by a lot. Marshall's conveniently joining the Sun Belt, but it was just bad. And I just there's only one bright spot, and it was DeAndre Torrey. And I feel like I say that every game because he's basically right now, the only bright spot on this team that actually brings any sort of highlights. Last year you had Jalen Darden, and he was basically the only one last year, but at least there was a little bit more fight. And it just looked like they gave up, basically. I mean, not quite, because you had some guys like, how do you spell his last name? He's not the walk on, he's like a redshirt freshman running back,
Oh
O'Day.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He
Yeah,
scored a touchdown, his first
yeah.
career touchdown. I mean, the running back room is by far the best position on this team. And I give all credit to Coach Cops. He's done a great job. Since Seth Luttrell got here, the running back room has been very solid. Even if Graham Harrell didn't want to run the ball a whole lot with Jeff Wilson, but that's beside the point. There's only one bright spot and you're getting blown out 49-7 points in the game. It's just not fun. And I mean, right now we've lost probably all the T-shirt fans. We've lost so many students that want to attend the games because we're getting blown out to a random team on a Friday night. There's just not a whole lot of energy. It feels like everything's bad, and this is the worst case scenario that we had at the beginning of the year. Remember, we had the predictions, and we're like, Maybe they can win the Louisiana Tech game and the Marshall game. Maybe they can win this and this. This is basically the worst case scenario, and it's just getting worse and worse. And now you play a pissed off Liberty team that lost to UL Monroe, who has the lowest athletic budget in the country. We're unlucky, and well, with the American, we're not that unlucky, but you know what I'm saying. So it's just a really, really dark time for North Texas football again. And again, it's bad.
Yes, it is. On a bit of a brighter note, my wife and my son will be coming to the game this Saturday, and it's both of their first football games at Apogee, so that'll be exciting. Looking forward to doing that and having some family time, and maybe who knows, just watching some North Texas football, win or lose. I mean, there is some joy that I get out of it, regardless. But yeah, I when I made our prediction, or we're on the record, with Brett Vito, I did predict a 4-8 season. And Matthew Bruni spoke on this before the season, sometime in the summer on his podcast. He said, what's going to determine, if there's new jobs taking place or something, is like how these games have been lost. And really, I just think he couldn't have been more right. And unfortunately, it just seems that, just we're not, if we were, 1-5, and a lot of them, we were just came down to the wire, instead of that blowout by UAB and by Marshall, like I might be able to come up, say some more positive things, but it's just been, just not a really good, just showing of the talent that we have on the team. I mean, I still do believe that we have a lot of talented guys. I don't think it's for lack of talent. And, unfortunately it is, we are heavily plagued by injuries this season, but again, how many seasons can we have, valid excuses, if you will? I mean, last year we all went through COVID, the whole country did. And the year before that, I mean, we lost Bussey, and Guyton went on to the NFL, but I mean, I don't know. It's just they're just starting to stack on each other, and it kind of does take the wind out of a lot of our sails, I feel like, unfortunately, and especially when you see SMU ranked and UTSA ranked. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't want to just say nothing but negative things this evening, but there's not a whole heck of a lot of positives to say, except that we are going to the American, and that'll be interesting. And, I would like to see what kind of momentum we can, build on after this year to hopefully give us a better showing next year. And, kind of go into the American with some steam, Lord willing. But, what is that going to take? I don't know. I have opinions of what it will take, but I don't want to talk about that until maybe we're a little closer to my opinions possibly being a reality, and maybe they won't be a reality, and if they're not, then they're not. And we just gotta hope that, that whoever's in charge next year knows what they're doing going forward. And, we'll just kind of see how the chips fall there. But yeah, so anyway, I mean, again, if somehow, some way we could, upset Liberty, hey, good news. This thing could get back on track from the standpoint of, race to 6 or hit 6 from the McCarney days. And do I think it's going to happen? No, but I mean, there's a great opportunity. I mean, it's, with this tough schedule, we were shy. We were not shy of any opportunities to come out and have a meaningful win against a lot of good programs. And here's probably our last shot, though, because if let's say we beat Rice, beat Southern Miss, I mean, yeah, I'd be glad to win those games. I mean, we're so desperate for a win, but I don't think anyone's going to think too much of that either. And likewise for their programs, if they beat North Texas, they're probably not going to think too much of it either. But I mean, this is probably our last chance at a credited win. I guess maybe UTEP could be. I mean, depending what they're sitting at when we play them. 2 weeks after the Liberty game. I think I don't know. I mean, what are they? 5-1, I think. And
They are 5-2. They lost to Syracuse and ULM of all teams.
okay, they're 5-2. Well, then I mean, yeah, I think they're. I don't know. I mean, it's not a knock at UTEP. My heart goes out to UTEP. I mean, Jared said, they're getting left out of the American again, and probably the Sun Belt. They're just on their little island out there of just lost land. I mean, my heart goes out to their fan base. But I mean, I do feel like their record is a little. I don't think they're as good as their record displays. So even if we were to somehow beat UTEP, um, I mean, I don't know. I mean that would be better. I mean, I would take that win with a little bit more joy than maybe the other two, and of course FIU. But like you said, man. I mean, even if we lost out and just somehow pulled it off against UTSA at the end, that would, you know what? I mean, that would be. I'd take that, man. I would. But all right, well, kind of taking, I guess, our sights off of this season for a moment. What are your thoughts on us going to the American? I mean, that is exciting, and I mean, I'm hearing that we'll be in there 2023 potentially. Is that what you're hearing too? And
That's what
if
the report's
so,
saying.
yeah,
2023 academic year, so that's like August, which is very good because I was more thinking like 2024, but 2023 is even better. I mean, this is a big step, and it shows that we actually have leadership. Louisiana Tech, the reason they are not in this conference is because of their stupid old athletic director. Not old in an old way, but previous athletic director. Because I read it was the Yahoo article. I'm pretty sure it were Brett McMurphy, and he was talking about how because of McClendon, I think that's his name, there was no Sun Belt Conference USA merger because of he didn't want to. And even in 2012, Louisiana Tech won the WAC, and they refused to play UL Monroe. And there's this weird obsession of not playing them, and that's a big reason why they're out. But I mean, I'm glad we actually have leadership. Neil is one of the best presidents I think in this conference. I think he is because the fact that we are struggling in football mightily, and that is the biggest revenue sport in all conferences. The fact that he pushed and pushed to get North Texas into a bigger stage with the facilities, with basketball success, with great coaching hires in other sports. It shows that they are wanting to win, and finally, we're in a conference with SMU. I know you guys talked about it yesterday with CJ and all that, but um, I didn't think it was reality. I mean, getting in a conference with SMU, and people still deny that SMU was trying to block us back in the Southwest Conference days. They were. They didn't want to compete with North Texas and all that. But now, I mean, it's just crazy, and I really like it. It's the biggest stepping stone this program has ever had, because if you can succeed in this conference, assuming you still have the members like Memphis and SMU, that will and playing harder competition will get you better. And the fact that they're going to be playing harder competition, not just in football, but in all sports, it's going to level up this athletic department. And it's going to make them one of the, I think, and even someone wrote about it, North Texas is the next UCF. They are. They have the potential. They have everything they need to be the next powerhouse in the group of five, but they just don't do it correctly. And they thought they did it correctly, and all of a sudden it all just fell into pieces. But this is the best move. This is way better than the Sun Belt. No, I don't. I'm not. I will argue with a wall about how this is way better than the Sun Belt, because the Sun Belt, quite frankly, is not a good overall sports conference. There is way more leverage. There's way more revenue going through the American, and even people saying, "Well, you're going to get less than the members right now." Don't care. Guess what? We get 500,000 in the Conference USA. If we get 3 million, that's triple what we get in this conference. So I'm perfectly fine with whatever we're getting. This is great. I love it. I just love it, and I hope SMU does not make a move out of here because that would be earth shattering in my opinion.
Yeah, the stimulus check is coming our way. All of us for North Texas, UTSA, UAB, FAU. Yeah, the stimmy is coming. So that's exciting. And yes, I hope SMU doesn't jump ship. And could you imagine if we were in the same conference in SMU and sometime in I would say, in the first 3 years, we pull off a win against them? It would become a rivalry then. I mean, I don't think, I don't think they would like the obnoxiousness that the North Texas fans would bring um, to the Twitter world if, we were to knock them off sometime in the next or in the net, in the following 3 years of us becoming conference mates, if you will. But yeah, so that's exciting. We're gonna get a little pay raise in our athletic budget. It's looking like maybe a handsome one at that, and that'll just help. I mean, I'm interested to see how we'll stack up facility wise. I know we kind of lead the way in Conference USA, and but coming into a conference with other deeper pockets, will we be able to elevate to that level? And I think over time we will, and especially putting together a few successful football campaigns, and if we can stay consistent with on the basketball side, get some alumni that even if it's reasonable amounts annual contributions. I mean, with our huge network of alumni that have graduated from North Texas. I mean, the numbers, I mean, just ginormous. I mean, that would help a lot. And all the alumni that I talked to, they were always going to say, yeah, well, I mean, we get a little better product on the field, we'll donate something. But time will tell there. But yeah, exciting nonetheless. But well, Miles, I mean, I'm trying to think, man. I mean, kind of reaching here at this point of things to talk about, maybe positive or whatnot. But anything else you want to add before we jump off?
I just hope that they look more disciplined this weekend. I mean, you're gonna have, even if you're bad, you're gonna have more eyes watching you just because of all the news recently. And if you just, I mean, I know Liberty's pretty good, but really North Texas is gonna have more eyes on them than almost anyone thought they would, because of the fact that they're going to be moving up in a different conference, and people are talking about them, and people are talking about how North Texas should not be in this conference. No, because of all these reasons. I just hope they can actually put up an effort and a fight. Disciplined fight, not fight as in throwing helmets like they probably would, because it's ridiculous how and it's the younger guys. It's not the older guys. Oh, excuse me. It's the younger guys that are making all these stupid plays, and you gotta blame coaching on that. I mean, they don't know any better if you're not teaching them. That's the reason why they're doing that. And I mean, something's not working. Is it who's at the blame for that? Liberty's gonna be mad, and I just hope that they can actually make an effort. And luckily, it's a 3:00 game, so you can get home before the good games start later that night. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
I just wish for the best. I'm just glad that we're actually in a new conference that is going to move forward faster and way more leadership than the Conference USA. Conference USA has zero leadership. It's just a big mess. And right now, with Marshall and Southern Miss, for some reason, Southern Miss going to the Sun Belt, there's only six teams left.
It's going to dissolve. It's going to go. It has to. I don't see how they salvage that.
I know that's not really a last thought, but it's just I feel kind of bad for Western Kentucky. They have won technically the most conference championships in this conference by
in football.
No, in everything. They have
okay.
Conference championships since they joined in 2014, and now they're getting left in the dust. It's kind of funny to me, but it's also not. I mean, it's like they pride themselves on having these conference championships, yet they're getting left behind. And it all boils down to leadership. I mean, look at FIU. They have said absolutely nothing about the situation. They're the only school, I think, in the country that has not said anything about this. FIU should just quit football. They should just quit football. But all these schools are getting left behind. I kind of feel bad,
I do too.
I mean, you're just, it's you love to see your team in there, but then you look behind you and it's like kids. It's like you're driving a car and then there's people behind you that got hit by a car, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, and then you're just driving. And you just feel bad, and I don't know. That was probably a bad analogy, but um, I don't know. It just sucks because some of these schools have great um, pristine traditions in what they do in like Western Kentucky basketball, Middle Tennessee basketball back in the day. So I don't know. It just sucks for them, but I'm just glad we're not getting left behind, and that's the biggest thing. And I knew we wouldn't get left behind. There was no way our president and our athletic director are going to leave us behind when we have the most potential out of anybody in this conference. Anyone. So,
Hey, I can buy that. But yeah, very grateful that we're going up, and man, I really do feel I feel bad because I just put myself in their shoes. If all that was happening to them and North Texas was just hypothetically sitting there like sitting ducks, like FIU, not saying anything, we're not hearing anything, that would suck, man. That would just be horrible. So, yep, hearts out to them, all the people at well, I mean, well, I don't know where La Tech's gonna go. So
I don't know either. I mean, I guess you could, man, would the Sun Belt open up? Because now the Sun Belt will have 12. And let's say they open up and they maybe get Western. I mean, I forgot about Old Dominion. Oh, crap. I forgot about Old Dominion. They're forgettable.
I think they're going to the Sun Belt with Marshall
That's why they
and
said Old Dominion and
Marshall, Southern Miss,
Marshall, Southern Miss, and like Liberty. And
Liberty.
something like that. And I was
Dude,
like,
if Sun Belt gets Liberty, that would be.
no, I could still, American's still better. I will let them not die in that hill. As long as, I mean, look at Memphis. Memphis is a top 5 basketball program in the
Yeah,
country.
that's true.
Look at Wichita State. They've made like 3 Final Fours. Look at all these schools. I think there's more opportunities here in American, but that's I'd rather see
Here in America.
Here's my last take on this. I would much rather play Friday or Saturday at 11 a.m. than on a Tuesday at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Much rather. I could not care if it was at 6 in the morning. I would still rather play that than go play on a Tuesday night on the backup network. I wouldn't. I still don't care. People are acting like that's ridiculous. I'm like, no, I don't. I'd rather play on Facebook than play on a Tuesday. I'm sorry. I just hate weekday games. It makes me mad because then I have to do nothing on Saturday. But my one last thought is buy your basketball season tickets. Buy them, buy them, buy them. Support this team, a good winning culture team. Support them. Buy your basketball season tickets. Schedule's out. Go buy your tickets.
Amen. And yeah, looking forward to basketball season. That's going to be fun, Lord willing. But all right, Miles. Well, as always, thanks for hopping on. And come on now, Mean Green. Let's we got to beat Liberty. Let's do it. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.